Hello, this is Noreen Crone-Findlay from CroneFindlay.com and TottyTalksCrafts.com. That's Totty Talks Craft is my blog and CroneFindlay.com is my website. Now, when most people think about spool knitting, they think about using all 4 pegs of the spool knitter to make a fairly substantial cord. But did you know that you can also make a cord just using 3 pegs of the spool knitter, like I'm doing with this one? You can see this peg is completely empty. Now, before I start, I just want to mention about working with the loop lifters. Now, most spool knitters come with a little loop lifter like this. I like to insert that loop lifter and glue it into a handle. This particular handle is a wooden one that came from a foam paintbrush. And when the paintbrush died, I pulled the foam part out and glued the loop lifter in. A souvenir kind of pen that my sister-in-law found at a sale somewhere works beautifully as a loop lifter too. You just pull out the refill and glue in the loop lifter. It's terrific. I think most of us have used nut picks at one time or another for spool knitting, and they work great. I'm not that fond of crochet hooks for spool knitting because they tend to catch. This is a stiletto from a woodworking set, and it works really well, as does a poultry skewer. They work great. This is a little tool from a vintage manicure set, and I love it. It works really well. It's one of my favorite tools. Now, how do you make a spool knitted cord with just 3 of the 4 pegs? Well, start by, I'm using organic cotton, Nature's Choice organic cotton for this cord. You will take the yarn down through the center of the spool knitter, then make an E around the first peg, an E around the second peg, and an E around the third peg. See? There you go. Now, you're going to take the yarn past all 3 of the pegs. Now, the cool thing about spool knitting on 3 pegs is that you don't actually ever, you kind of rock the spool knitter back and forth, lift the lower loop over the past yarn, but you never actually turn the spool knitter. You always are turning oops, I split my yarn a bit there. There we go. So you always lift the lower stitch over the upper past yarn, and over it goes. There you go. And then tug down gently, and you go past your same 3 pegs and lift. It needs a little tug, and lift, tug, and you just keep carrying on. It's not easy, it's just great. And it goes very quickly when you're working with just the 3 pegs. Now, a 3-peg cord does give you a round cord. You can also work on just 2 pegs of the spool knitter, and that will give you a flat cord. Of course, the classic cord is the 4-peg cord. I think that's what most of us learned when we were little. But I have plans for these cords, and that's why with the glitter yarn and with the organic cotton, I am choosing to go with just the 3-peg cord. Now, spool knitting is wonderfully contemplative and meditative. It's just a very quiet and gentle kind of craft to work on. It's lovely. And the thing is that's very neat is you can make all kinds of wonderful things with spool knitted cord. What kinds of things can you make? Well, go to my website, CroneFindlay.com, and to Totty Talks Crafts, and you will find all manner of delicious spool knitted goodness. Now, what happens when you have a whole ton of spool knitting? Well, that can get all tangled up. So what do? Quite simple. You find the end and you just roll it up in a ball. And usually what I do is I have a toothpick or a darning needle or even a crochet hook is fine. And there, once it's all wrapped around in a ball, you just, let's see, the skewer will work well. There you go. And you just pop that in and that holds it all nice and compact for you. So there you have a few spool knitting hints and tips, and we'll talk to you soon. Enjoy your spool knitting and bye for now. And remember, 3 pegs work great on the spool knitter. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.